He tossed a newborn into the lake, claiming it violated his sham HOA rules. Douglas Vance, a disgraced security guard, had turned a quiet neighborhood into his personal fiefdom of fear. But he didn't count on the baby's father being Lucas Harper, a former Marine with nothing left to lose. What followed was a twist that rocked the town to its core and a reckoning that burned brighter than justice. Dawn bathed Silver Lake County in soft gold, the air thick with early morning stillness. Sprinklers hummed, birds chirped, and Lucas Harper stood in his backyard, flipping bacon on the grill, a baby monitor clipped to his belt. After a decade as a Marine, he traded gunfire for family breakfasts, cherishing the swap. His wife, Claire, was inside with their newborn, Noah, who'd finally dozed off after a restless night. Lucas was still adapting to civilian life, mowing lawns instead of scanning horizons, grilling instead of standing watch. Their new home in what the realtor called a premier HOA community promised safety and order. Lucas hadn't questioned the order until it was too late. Douglas Vance, the self-styled HOA enforcer, first struck Lucas as a caricature, a man in a patched uniform, brandishing a clipboard like a weapon, patrolling with a fake badge and a strut that screamed petty tyrant. He issued citations for fence heights and kids' chalk drawings as if they were felonies. Lucas had met his kind before, power-hungry, fragile, ready to crack when challenged. He dismissed Douglas as a nuisance, never imagining he'd become a monster. That morning, Lucas was pulling bacon off the grill when Noah's coo crackled through the monitor. He smiled, stepped inside for a bottle, and was gone maybe 20 seconds. Then tires screeched. A roar shattered the calm, followed by a metallic thud. Lucas's training kicked in. He dropped the bottle, sprinted to the porch, and froze. Douglas stood by a battered pickup with an HOA compliance magnet, eyes wild, body twitching with manic rage. In his arms was Noah's stroller. Lucas's heart stopped. Code violation. Douglas screamed, hoisting the stroller like evidence. What the Lucas roared, but Douglas was already running, not to the street, but to the lake. Lucas chased barefoot, tearing across pavement and grass, adrenaline searing his veins. He shouted Douglas's name, voice shattering like shrapnel. Stop. Put him down. They reached the lake in seconds. Lucas was 2 steps behind when Douglas stopped at the water's edge. It's rules, he bellowed, eyes unhinged. No unattended objects in public view. With a heave, he hurled the stroller into the lake. A splash, then silence. Douglas vanished into the fog-draped trees. Time stopped. Lucas didn't hesitate. He dove. The water was a frozen blade, but he didn't feel it. Terror, not cold, drove him. His body, forged by years of missions, moved on instinct. Eyes burning, lungs screaming, he kicked downward. The stroller's shadow faded into the murk. 1 second, he sliced through the dark. 2, the surface vanished. 3, a glint. The stroller's frame, snagged in silt. 4, he grabbed it, tugged, but it held fast. 5, he braced against the lake bed, pulling with all he had. 6, it broke free. 7, he surged upward, clutching Noah's tiny form, breaking the surface with a gasp. Noah was still, too still. Lucas staggered to shore, water streaming, and laid his son on the grass. No movement. Then a cough, a shudder, a piercing wail. Lucas fell to his knees, wrapping Noah in his shirt, holding him tight as sobs replaced cries, the sweetest sound he'd ever heard. Alive. Noah was alive. Lucas didn't speak, didn't cry. He cradled Noah, watching his chest rise and fall. Relief begged him to collapse, but something shifted, a cold, familiar clarity from his past. He stood, wrapping Noah in his old Marine jacket, hands steady, breath even. His gaze hardened, scanning the trees. "I'm coming for you," he whispered to the fog, voice like steel. Douglas wasn't a quirky pest, he was a predator, and Lucas was no longer the suburban dad. The warrior was back. Douglas Vance wasn't a prankster in a costume. Fired as a mall guard for harassment, his rage at losing control had festered. He'd vanished, resurfacing in a trailer beyond Silver Lake's limits, where he built his HOA tactical unit. At first, neighbors mocked his fake citations, grass too tall, unapproved lawn ornaments. But his nighttime patrols, flashlight-piercing windows, turned laughter to unease. He claimed escalation powers, and some complied, trimming hedges to avoid his wrath. Others whispered he was unhinged but feared retaliation. Noah's near death changed everything. Whispers became confessions shared with Lucas, the one man they trusted to act. A retiree saw Douglas wading in the lake, practicing some twisted ritual. A dad reported crates hauled to a hidden shed. A teen admitted Douglas trailed him, taking notes. A woman showed a photo of Douglas measuring her lawn, a holster on his hip. Lucas listened, face like stone, piecing together a portrait of obsession. 2 days later, Lucas found Douglas's trailer in dense woods past the neighborhood. Weeds choked the rusted shell, but fresh boot prints betrayed its use. He slipped inside, silent. The interior was a maniac's shrine, walls plastered with clippings, maps, and resident photos linked by red string. Sticky notes labeled neighbors non-compliant or threat. A folder screamed read in red marker. Lucas opened it and his breath caught. A grainy photo of Noah, days old, captioned disruptor. Pages detailed Lucas's life, marine records, home layout, mailbox number. Notes marked him high threat, Noah his weak point. This wasn't random, it was a vendetta. Douglas hadn't snapped. He'd stalked, planned, targeted. A broken frame held a younger Douglas in a guard uniform, scrawled with "Order is taken, not given." Lucas left, the folder seared into his mind. This was a challenge, and he'd accepted. At home, Claire and Noah slept, the monitor humming a lifeline. Lucas moved like a ghost, entering his study, pressing a hidden panel. A lockbox opened, revealing his Glock 19, battle-worn, reliable. He checked the magazine, each round a vow. From the closet he pulled boots, a silent jacket, a cap. The mirror showed not a dad, but a Marine calm, lethal. Douglas wouldn't hide. He'd return to the lake, his stage. Lucas stepped into the night, the air thick, streets empty. The lake called. Fog cloaked the shoreline, trees rigid in the still air. Water lapped softly, the only sound in a world holding its breath. Lucas emerged from the woods, silent, eyes locked on Douglas, standing by the lake, cradling a shotgun. Douglas turned, slow, eerie. "Knew you'd come," he rasped. "Took you long enough." Lucas stopped 30 feet away, wordless. Douglas's smile cracked. "Think you're the hero? I enforced order. Your weak HOA couldn't." Lucas stayed silent. Douglas twitched, raised the shotgun, and fired. The blast tore through the fog, missing as Lucas sidestepped, moving like a specter. His Glock rose steady. 3 shots, shoulder, thigh, knee. Douglas collapsed, wheezing, the shotgun skidding away. Lucas approached, boots silent, dragging Douglas to the water's edge, the same spot Noah's stroller sank. Douglas whimpered, "Don't, please." Lucas crouched. "You threw my son in this lake," he said, voice low. "Called it rules. Saw a baby and chose target." He pulled Douglas closer, water lapping his legs. Feel what he felt. Douglas clawed at Lucas's sleeve, fear replacing bravado. Lucas didn't push him in, just let him feel the terror. Justice wasn't drowning. It was clarity. Lucas stood, fog swirling, Glock warm. Douglas shivered, broken. Lucas dialed 911. Armed suspect down. Injured, alive. Lakeshore Trail. Send EMS. Sirens wailed as red and blue pierced the mist. "Hands up," a deputy barked. Lucas set the Glock down, hands raised. Weapons on the ground. Suspects down, was armed. Officers swarmed, cuffing Douglas, who wailed, "He's a soldier. He can't do this." Lucas met his eyes. "I protected. Not you." Douglas's pleas faded as medics loaded him. Lucas exhaled, the lake still. The gavel fell. Douglas Vance got 45 years, no parole. The courtroom stayed quiet, Silver Lake exhaling a decade of fear. Charges stacked: attempted murder, kidnapping, impersonation, harassment, surveillance. Lucas sat stoic, Claire clutching Noah, asleep, unaware this closed his nightmare. Reporters mobbed outside. Lucas ignored them. The story wasn't theirs, it was Silver Lake's. Weeks later, residents packed an emergency meeting, armed with photos, citations, and accounts of Douglas's reign. The HOA board, complicit or negligent, faced a lawsuit. Audits exposed lax hiring and ignored complaints. The board dissolved, replaced by a new one: vets, teachers, parents, vowing transparency. Lucas declined a seat, choosing peace over power. Each dawn, Lucas walked Noah to the lake, pointing to the horizon. "You almost didn't see this," he whispered. "But you're stronger than what tried to stop you." Noah gripped his thumb, giggling. Lucas carried his son, not a gun, watching sunrises, not threats. He hadn't lost himself, he'd chosen a new mission. The lake stayed calm, but Lucas's strength, like the light, kept rising. Silver Lake rebuilt, free of Douglas's shadow, a community forged anew by one man's stand for his son.